A New York judge just dropped the terrorism charges against Luigi Mangione, but the Ivy League grad still faces murder and the federal death penalty. Is this a win for the defense, or is it just the beginning of a long, winding legal nightmare?
Welcome to the global phenomenon, Surviving the Survivor. Here's your host, Emmy award-winning journalist, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation? Welcome to Surviving the Survivor. This is the show that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime. And sometimes I roll solo trying to give you my own analysis of some big legal stories. And today, of course, it is that revolving around Luigi Mangione and a pretty big ruling in the case that he is currently facing. He is accused, of course, of assassinating United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson right on 6th Avenue in Manhattan last December, what people call a brazen attack. If ever the word brazen was not a cliche, it is in this case where Luigi Mangione again took the life of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in the early morning hours. Now, Judge Gregory Caro, Carro, Gregory Caro, ruled that prosecutors had, quote unquote, legally insufficient evidence to sustain terrorism charges. And because of that, he was tossing out all the terrorism counts that could have locked Luigi Mangione away for life without parole. However, Luigi Mangione is not a free man. He's not walking free. The murder charge still stands, and the feds are seeking the ultimate punishment, which is the death penalty, made clear by Attorney General Pam Bondi. So let's unpack what happened, why it matters, and where this case goes next. What the judge decided. That is the first and most important point. Again, Judge Caro striking down the most serious charge, which is terrorism and first-degree murder tied to terrorism in the Southern District of New York, which is where all of this is going on. This is where Sean Diddy Combs was tried in the Southern District of New York. This is where the Alexander brothers will eventually be tried. It is very hard to get a first-degree murder charge. So he struck down the terrorism charge, which in turn links it to first-degree murder. He ruled that prosecutors failed to prove that Luigi Mangione intended to, quote-unquote, intimidate a civilian population or, quote-unquote, influence government policy. So that is the legal definition of terrorism, intimidating a civilian population or influencing government policy. But the judge ruled that prosecutors came up short when it comes to that, writing that the evidence was, quote unquote, legally insufficient. Now, the murder charge is still alive, but in a different form. The judge kept the second-degree murder count, which is typically what is charged in the SDNY. So they are keeping the second-degree murder count. And the judge wrote that Luigi Mangione, and I quote here, murdered Brian Thompson in a premeditated and calculated execution. There's no doubt about that. He was waiting, lying in wait for this executive and shot him in the back in that now infamous video where you can see exactly what's going on as dawn breaks in is it dawn or dusk? I don't even know. Dawn breaks in Manhattan. Carries 25 years to life with parole in New York. So there is wiggle room with the second-degree murder charge. Again, 25 years to life with parole as an option in New York State. Now, did the DA overreach? Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, he argued that the killing was, and I quote here, a frightening, well-planned, targeted murder that was intended to cause shock and attention and intimidation. Again, DA Alvin Bragg argued in a filing that the killing was a frightening, well-planned, targeted murder that was intended to cause shock and attention and intimidation. However, legal experts say that this was, in fact, an overreach, a stretch. Former prosecutor James McGuire, one who has spoken out, calling it, again, an explicit overreach, and said that the judge's ruling was, and I quote here, strongly and thoroughly reasoned. Now, Luigi Mangione had a manifesto that he kept, and some of his own words have been revealed. His diary blasted insurers, health insurers specifically, as, and I quote here, deadly greed-fueled cartel, as a deadly greed-fueled cartel. Now, he also went on, this guy, Luigi Mangione, to praise the Unabomber, also known as Theodore Kaczynski, but wrote that the Unabomber was, and this is a direct quote from Luigi Mangione, that he was a terrorist, the worst thing a person can be. So Luigi Mangione himself making it clear that he did not like the label terrorist and called it the worst thing when it came to the Unabomber. So obviously he did not want that to be associated with him. And today this judge's ruling basically strips Luigi Mangione of any concern he might have of being known or labeled as a terrorist, because the terrorism charge was basically dismissed today. Now, the judge pointed out that Mangione said his own goal was to, quote here, spread a message and win public support about everything wrong with our health system. So he wanted to spread a message and win public support about everything wrong with our health system. And the judge basically decided that that falls outside terrorism as the law defines it. Henceforth, therefore, thusly, the terrorism charge no longer part of the charges which Luigi Mangione is facing writ large. Now, symbolism of the attack. Prosecutors argued, this is again, the government argued that Luigi Mangione staged a public spectacle, choosing Midtown Manhattan outside of a Hilton hotel just before an investor conference. That is when Brian Thompson was gunned down. It was last December. Surveillance video showed him, Mangione that is, stalking Thompson and firing from behind with what later turned out, or they found out, authorities did, to be a 3D printed gun fitted with a suppressor, otherwise known as a silencer. So it just goes to show you the extent that Luigi Mangione went to in this premeditated attack, so far as to 3D printing a gun with a suppressor. And those silencers are hard to find legally, at least. So police said that at the time that bullets were scrawled, and then we saw images of this actually, but the bullets were scrawled with the words delay, deny, depose, which is a phrase linked to insurance claim denial. So anytime anyone is denied, oftentimes you'll hear one of those three words or all three of them: delay, deny, depose. That was actually written on the ammunition used to kill Brian Thompson. Now, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, she is the U.S. AG, formerly here in Florida, I might add, a state attorney. She said that she has already authorized prosecutors to seek the death penalty. She called it, and this is in one of her filings, a premeditated, cold-blooded assassination that shocked America. A premeditated, cold-blooded assassination that shocked America. This obviously way preceded the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But it just goes to show you the level of violence that our country is seeing in recent months, days, months, and years. Federal prosecutors skipped terrorism charges, but argued that Mangione committed political violence. And his name obviously has come up again with the recent Charlie Kirk assassination. Now, support for Mangione, as we've seen before, both inside the courtroom and outside the courtroom, people were wearing green, some dressing like Nintendo's Luigi, others wearing free Luigi shirts in and around the courthouse. His defense fund has actually raised an eyebrow-raising $1.5 $1.5 million. So his defense fund has $1.5 million. And by the way, his attorney is the wife of the attorney from the Sean Diddy Combs case. So that's a set of attorneys who are doing quite well financially speaking right now. Mark Agnafilo and his wife. Inside court was a different story. Luigi Mangione appearing in shackles. He actually raised his eyebrows at supporters, and he's known for those furry eyebrows. He raised the eyebrows as he was led away. The arrest, of course, it ended in Altoona, Pennsylvania, just a few days, maybe 5 or 6 days after the shooting last January. Mangione, as you'll recall, he was found at a McDonald's. He was eating hash browns, and he was on his laptop at the time. He was wearing a mask, which is why some people suspected him, actually, because he didn't fit in, didn't look like he was in place with that mask on. When he was caught, he was found with that 3D printed gun, the ammo with the writing on it, fake IDs, multiple fake IDs. And if you'll recall, he checked into a youth hostel on the Upper West Side of New York using a fake ID out of New Jersey. So that was on his person, as well as a 262-word manifesto where he admitted, according to authorities, and I quote here, it had to be done. So next steps in this disturbing case, the state pretrial hearings, of course, again, there are state proceedings here and federal, but the state pretrial hearings are set for December 1st, which seems far away, but it is just about 3 months or less away. So coming up like probably 2 months. My math's probably wrong. The federal case will commence right after, with the death penalty on the line in the federal case. Double jeopardy arguments were dismissed for now as being premature. So just to sum things up here, again, me solo giving you a little analysis and news on the latest in the Luigi Mangione case. The terrorism charges are now gone, but Luigi Mangione, he still faces murder, as I said, in state court, and the death penalty federally. Again, Charlie Kirk's assassin facing the same thing out in Utah. He's facing state death penalty as well as a federal death penalty potentially in Utah. I think state would come first. I'm not sure what supersedes what, but just to put a little bit into context there. Now, of course, Luigi Mangione's supporters see him as a crusader against corporate greed. The law, however, has a different take, and that is that they see him as a killer. So the question now, will jurors, they're the ones who are going to count now, will jurors see Luigi Mangione as some sort of revolutionary, or simply, like the government does, as a murderer who staged an execution in cold blood? And every time I talk about this story, I think of Brian Thompson's family. I don't know if you recall this, but in the days following his murder, when they were looking for the killer, still, they did not know it was Luigi Mangione, alleged to be the killer. Some people thought because Brian Thompson was living separately from his wife, that maybe the family was involved somehow. Of course, that turned out not to be the case, but he has 2 sons, and that entire family, including his estranged wife, have got to be reeling still. We're coming up on a year anniversary of his murder, or year since he was murdered. And so my thoughts are with Brian Thompson's family, and the rest, as it relates to Luigi Mangione, will play out in a court of law. As always, please leave us your thoughts and your comments in the comment section. Do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button, please. It's easy to do. All you have to do is lift that index finger and place it back on the mouse under the like and subscribe buttons. It goes a long way for us. Please share the show with friends. Let them know what you think of the show, whether it is good or bad, and hopefully they will file along for the best guests in all of true crime, and every once in a while some solo analysis. Thank you for joining us. Love you from my undisclosed studio, global headquarters for STS somewhere along Miami Beach. And we will see you all on the flip side. Have a great day. Have a great night. And we will see you soon.